Welcome to the Business Finance Matters podcast. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to tackle some of the topics that we get asked about on a regular basis so you business owners can get a better understanding of what it is that you're probably dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Let's get on with it.
So, David, me old mucker, this is an interesting topic and it's going to affect every business in the land. Budgeting for growth. Now, what I mean by that, I don't know what you think it means, but it is basically a business looking into the future and being able to understand what is potentially needed from a cash position in the future to help them grow, be it next month, next year, whatever. What's your feelings on that?
Well, growth comes in different shapes and sizes, literally. We've spoken about previous podcasts about startups. So how do you get from the kitchen table to running a business? Now we're at the point where the business is at a certain stage of its growth or progression, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And those directors, those owners of the business are thinking, hang on a minute, we've got something here. We've got, sales are good. We've got a product that clearly is liked or service. We want to grow.
Yeah.
And that is something that needs to be seriously considered because, again, we've seen cases where businesses have gone out, however they've done it, they've gone out and grown the business successfully, but with that has come growing pains, let's call it.
Yeah.
It's the same in life, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
They've got growing pains, and those growing pains are typically around cash flow, which we've spoken about in the past.
Yeah.
Management. With any company who's going to grow, there's going to be certain component parts that need to be, if not already in place, forecasted to be in place in time for that growth or that upward curve.
You picked up on our perennial phrase, cash flow, and more importantly, cash flow management, and budgeting is part of that, because if you can budget, I'll tell you what, I was talking to a fella earlier today. He's in these, I think, relatively short-term leasehold premises, got a nice setup. He thinks when his lease is up in March, he might have to, move on and find somewhere else. Well, of course, that's a trigger, isn't it? How much do I need? Where am I going to go?
Yeah.
Can I afford to do it?
Yeah.
And if I can't from cash flow, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry, but I've seen companies grow, and guess what? They've grown, but they've lost money as a result of growth, which again is something that's not unusual.
Yeah.
But providing that growth mechanism has been put in place to eventually turn that into a profit, again, in terms of forecasting and management, that's fine as well.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to lose money, but if you've got to go one step back to go two steps forward, providing you've got that strategic plan in place through that change process, which will occur, then in theory, you should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think all company directors know this, but they do have as shareholders responsibility to look after the best interests of the business and do the right things by that business. And I think one of the common themes that we have here, and let's face it, when most people start, and we keep talking about the kitchen table, not everybody starts at the kitchen table, but it isn't going to be, 100,000 square feet premises they start the business off in. They tend to fly it a little bit by the seat of their pants, and then something happens. They go, why didn't we see that? Why didn't we understand that? I think businesses have a duty of care to the people that they employ, to the people that are the stakeholders in that business, and a paramount part of that, in my humble opinion, is proper planning, cash flow management, and budgeting for what they think might happen, for what they know might happen, and here's the tricky one, for what they don't know might happen in the future. And that's the tricky one.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a finance point of view, growth will probably require some kind of working capital, for example. And from my point of view, and certainly from the members of the guild's point of view, when we're talking to businesses that are looking to grow, and once we've done our initial due diligence, we've met with the business owners, we've got a head around what's going on, and we believe that what they've got in place to make sure that growth will happen and happen successfully, then we can provide, hopefully, a working capital product. There are a number of loan products, for example, out there that we could recommend to make sure that capital is in place to ensure that growth can go forward. Because again, we speak about cash. If the cash isn't there, the business is going to fall over. Growth can kill.
Well, I think of something tangential but still important. I mean, you've particularly talked about the demise of the old traditional business bank manager. Yes, there are a few, and we know a few. But as a general rule, you don't really get that personal relationship unless you're turning over 5, 6, 7 million or whatever these days. And I sort of get that to an extent. But the point I was going to make was, and most businesses should have an accountant. They should work with an accountant. The accountant should be there to advise, to direct, to take some opinion from. And I think they should treat the business finance professional that you are in that sort of vein as well, because at the end of the day, you're not just in and out. You don't just arrange whatever you do at the time. I know, and lots of the guys and girls in the guild are exactly the same. They've had relationship with some of these customers for 5, 10, 15 years. And you said something earlier in an earlier podcast about, most SME businesses don't have a finance director or a finance manager. They might have a bookkeeper or whatever, but they don't have that professional party that they can call upon, or who is calling upon them and saying, how are things, what's it looking like for next quarter, etc., etc. That's so important, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And I think there are a number of businesses, again, it's a very emotional topic because business owners, they love what they do. It's their baby, and everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants to see what they do, however you define success, to become successful. And people have different different benchmarks to define success. But growth typically is a succession path, isn't it?
It is. I mean, businesses will do one or two things. One thing it won't do is it won't stay still. It's impossible. You're either going to grow or you're going to disappear up a very dark alley, and unfortunately that does happen. But I think, and again we've referred to this in the past, budgeting is not a precise science. It's a bit of an art, but it's an observation. A lot of what we talk about on these podcasts is trying to project into the future what may happen and what can we do as a business to plan for those eventualities. Because I'm sorry to say it, Dave, and you're not the only one to see it. How many businesses can you go and call upon and go, well, he's come to me at lastminute.com here, and he's, we should have had this conversation 2-3 months ago. He perhaps wasn't, or she perhaps wasn't able to know that. But if we can get anything over, in this podcast, it's plan, budget, look after the cash, and get yourself a decent person on board, such as yourself, to help guide.
I would like to disagree with you, Mr. Peary.
Oh, yeah, go on.
I don't believe necessarily that if you don't grow, you're going to fail.
Okay.
There are companies, and I know many of them.
Do you want to fight?
Yeah, okay. There are many companies, and I'm dealing with them right now. At this moment of time, where we are in the economy, the last thing they want to do is grow. They don't think at this moment in time there is enough stability. They don't necessarily feel it's the right time for growth. So they've made a decision not to grow. They're quite happy where they are. However, should that change in the future, or should any business make that decision to grow, which is what this podcast is all about, right, how are you going to do it?
Look,
how are you going to move forward?
I'll agree with that shenanigans, as you so eloquently explained it. And you're right, it isn't all about necessarily growth, and the only other option is failure. But the point I'm trying to make is that's planned budgeting in a different way, in a sense, isn't it? They don't want to take on more staff. They don't want any more orders. They want to just maintain their current position.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing that will be happening with those businesses, though, their costs will be going up. And that's sort of what I mean by businesses don't remain stagnant, And
trying to take that emotion out of it. Businesses that want to grow, and sometimes you think, no, don't grow. Because if you do, this is going to be the problem that you're going to be faced with.
And, Dave, we keep saying it, and we said it already on this podcast, the bank manager's gone. There's no one there providing that fiscal, sound financial advice based on experience, is there? We know where to go to get it, but as it stands, for the vast majority, 5.5, 6 million SME business owners there, from sandwich shop to squirrel jam makers to manufacturers to whatever it may be, it's tough, isn't it?
Here's a question for you.
Oh, yeah. I like a question. I like a quiz. Is it a quiz?
Question number 1.
Okay.
Fit for growth.
Oh, yeah.
How would you explain, or how would you define whether a business is fit for growth?
That's a really interesting question.
Good. Come back to me tomorrow and let me
I
answer.
will. Yeah. Can I?
Well, we haven't got time for that.
Can I send you a postcard? Fit for growth. Do you know what I think? I think the most important thing is people not to bury their head in the sand. Don't put it off to mañana. What is it they can do today to help protect their business in the future? Or what are the things that they need to do today? Have they looked at their cash flow management cycle? Have they budgeted for what they know is going to happen, for what they think might happen, for what they don't know could happen? That's, again, I'll repeat, it's a tricky one. But fit for growth, I think, is a confidence thing. You hear about it in finance markets, you hear about it in the stock market, you hear about it all over the place. You could easily look at the economy at the moment and say, oh, woe is me, and, business failures are up, and et cetera, et cetera. But if you as a business owner feel confident about your future, then chances are all the other bits you can slot into place.
Yeah, as I said before, it's the emotion. If you're confident that you're going to be able to do something in life, that I've always said, go and do it, but make sure you've got the main key parts to that. The management we talked about before, the planning in place. And look, creating a pathway going forward is great, and that pathway may change as you get further down the line. But providing you got the key bits in place, then theoretically, in principle, business should be successful.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have a sound proposition, you've got to have a sound product, you've got to be selling something, you've got to be promoting something that someone wants, because if someone doesn't want it, they ain't going to pay you for it.
And have the right people as well.
And that's my favourite topic, having the right people, and that's the tricky one. And as we know, so many small businesses start off as a family business, or mum and dad had the business, or dad used to run the haulage firm and the daughter's taken over, whatever it may be. And I think that just underpins the value of the right people around you, and I'll never get tired of saying that. So come on then, what are the takeaways today from this one then, Mr. Gross?
Well, growth, are you fit for growth? If you're going to grow, make sure you got you're clear, you're confident, you know what the pathway is in front of you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't think you're ready for growth, then don't.
Yeah.
Don't break something that doesn't need fixed. Just stay where you are.
Sure.
If you are looking to grow, as we mentioned before, look at the people around you, whether it's your accountant, whether you're a business finance professional, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a shareholder, make sure that you've got those people around you that can take the emotion out of it. Because that can often be misleading when your mind is driving you down one pathway, but actually needs some sense, some sense checking. And also with the financing, if it is something you're going to do, have you got the financing in place to do it? Because if you haven't, then the house is going to fall down.
And I think people need to remember, you can get an offer of finance, you can get an offer of something. You don't have to take it. No. You don't have to draw it down. No. You don't have to utilise it. It's that peace of mind, isn't it? And we hear about that. I'll wrap that up by saying the three things I think when it comes to budgeting.
Yeah, number one.
Budget for what you know is likely to happen.
Yes.
Budget for what you think might happen. And if you can budget for what you don't know might happen, you got to be very, very canny to be able to pull that one off.
Yeah.
But cash flow management plays its role. The cash flow cycle, don't let anything come as a shock or surprise. There should be no need for that. Concentrate on what you can do and prepare for those eventualities that you can't control. And I think proper budgeting, good cash flow management, it's not a recipe for success, but you should have a good chance of putting it off.
Perfectly put, Trevor. Anyway, anyone wants more information?
Well, there we go. They can come to us direct, Dave, at podcast@bfpguild.org.
That's our email address.
That is our email address. We welcome lots and lots of questions on that. We're starting to get questions on that.
We are.
I'm going to pick those up with you afterwards, actually.
And the website address.
And the website, find people like Dave, members of the Guild, bfpguild.org. bfpguild.org.
Amazing.
It's amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Well, from time to time.
On that note, goodbye from me.
On that night. See you, fella. See you on the next one. Bye. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on this podcast. We hope it was useful. Please share, please subscribe so we can share this content to as many business owners as we possibly can. And if there was anything we haven't covered in this particular episode, then please let us know. Drop us a line. We'll be happy to talk about it in future episodes. Thanks again.